This lecture aims to describe the origins of financial innovation. After having defined this concept through a historical approach and then through its taxonomy, we will now explore the causes and motivations behind all financial innovation. So, first of all, why do we innovate in finance? What were the common points between the motivations of the Babylonians, who invented the interest rate during antiquity, and the motivations of the financial engineers who today are developing decision support tools based on artificial intelligence? First of all, innovation in general finds its source in the existence of an unmet need of one or more people in a given context. Whatever the type of need, man has the ability to improve what exists, or at least to try to do so, in order to satisfy this need partially or completely. The field of finance is no exception. Basically, the purpose of finance is to seek and find the money needed to carry out projects. From this broad definition, one can, for example, link the invention of the interest loan in antiquity to the emergence of peasant agriculture. Indeed, we have seen that the emergence of the first cities in Mesopotamia required an agriculture whose production had to be able to meet the needs of a population concentrated on a limited territory. However, the very nature of agriculture leads to cyclical production, 1 or 2 harvests per year, subject to hazards, weather, parasites. The farmer has production costs, amortization of a purchase or lease of agricultural land, purchase of the grain to be sown. For several months before being able to harvest what he has sown, during this time, this farmer is subject to a random risk in terms of production and therefore profit, from sowing to harvesting. The financial needs of ancient farmers are therefore considered as a source of the invention of the interest loan. In the same way, historians consider that banking activity in Egypt arose from the need of farmers to store their production in sacred places. Temples were sacred places and built in stone, while administrative buildings and palaces were at best built in mud bricks. Indeed, they were not built for eternity like tombs of temples. Also, as the economy of ancient Egypt was redistributive, the temples naturally moved from a deposit activity to a banking activity in the sense that grain stock receipts could be exchanged and used in a way as a means of payment. We could discuss the likely causes of other historic financial innovations. We could also take the example of more recent financial innovations such as cryptocurrency, robot advisors, or payment by telephone. But the interest of a historical approach is to allow us to have the necessary insight to discern the motivations of the innovation. It appears that the financial innovations that have stood the test of time are those that have contributed to making risk redistribution mechanisms more efficient. Ephemeral innovations are those that have met only a time-limited need without contributing to more efficient markets. In this sense, it is the imperfection of markets, the fact that they are not complete, that could best explain the emergence of financial innovation. Information asymmetries, transaction costs, imperfect competition, regulation stimulate financial innovation. Robert Merton's functional decomposition identifies 6 functions provided by financial system: the movement of funds in time and space, the pooling of funds, risk management, the extraction of information to support decision making, the resolution of problems of moral hazard and information asymmetry, and the facilitation of the scale or purchase of goods and services through a payment system. This taxonomy allows us to list the main sources of financial innovation. In the words of Peter Tufano, we can summarize the causes of financial innovation. First of all, innovation exists to complete inherently incomplete markets. Second, innovation persists to address concerns inherent to agencies and information asymmetries. Similarly, innovation exists so that parties can minimize transaction, research, or marketing costs. Also, innovation is a response to taxation and regulation. Finally, increasing globalization and risk motivate innovation and technological shocks stimulate it. This description of the different sources of financial innovation provides an interesting perspective on the tremendous growth of financial innovation since the 60s. The integration of financial markets, coupled with increased volatility of financial returns, the advent of information technology and then telecommunications, and progress in the knowledge of economic mechanisms and equilibria, which have sometimes failed during the many financial crises we have experienced since the stock market crash of 1987, have all been the breeding ground for the many financial innovations that make up our daily lives today. Finally, it is not easy to draw up an exhaustive list of the causes of financial innovation. However, historical and taxonomic approaches have given us a better understanding of the fundamental motivations behind yesterday's and today's innovations.